is for me, like where he's like I don't know what he knows about.
All I gave to you. Oh, you get it. You were the only. You were. All I gave to you. Oh, you get it. Tell me what you were the only. You were. All I gave to you. Oh, you get it. Take what I can get. You were the only part of me that I could ever like. And all you take from me is time that I misplaced inside the dark, the stormy sea. Flooded, tears that stain. All I gave to you. Oh, you get it. Oh, you give when your feelings need your feelings need the feed.
in this town. What happens if I leave and then I need you round? Expect you to wait. Then I hesitate. I know it's real, but caution overcompensate.
The Great Axe. In this video I'll introduce you to the basics of the Great Axe, how it works, and how you may want to level it with a leveling order as well. My name is Duke Sloth and I will be your guide. Now in terms of feel, I don't think I need to explain much. It is a very big axe and it feels like you swing a very big axe. It has a very wide hit range, a very wide cone in front of you where you can hit enemies. And out of all weapons, I would say this one chases after enemies the best as well. It's even more magnetic than the hatchet. But while it's a big and heavy weapon, the Great Axe actually has some very good mobility, some of the best mobility of all melee weapons. And also has some very quick abilities and attack cancels, so it's not as sluggish as you may think. Due to its wide attacks, the Great Axe is also fantastic in any sort of group combat situation. The Great Axe was a little bit bugged in the last playtest, which means that it was a little bit overpowered at that point. It'll be interesting to see if that still holds up after some fixes have been applied. The Great Axe is a single scaling weapon and it only scales with strength. However, if you're tanking and frontlining with it, you probably want some constitution along with your strength and not just purely focus on damage. The left skill tree of the Great Axe is Reaper. Here you find multiple abilities that allow you to catch up to enemies, chase them, but also deal massive damage to them, and most of the perks are very focused on dealing higher damage or healing. Healing yourself while dealing damage. The Mauler tree on the other hand is a little bit more defensive while still providing a lot of offensive perks as well, and it seems to be somewhat focused on having multiple enemies around you for various benefits. In my opinion, the Mauler tree lacks a little bit of identity and may also need some buffs to its ability to damage. One perk that I want to highlight specifically before we go deeper into the individual abilities is Bloodlust. This is the last perk in Reaper and allows you to move 30% faster and deal 15% more damage while looking at an enemy within 15 meters. This perk is insanely strong due to the high mobility paired with very high damage, so this is one that you want to try and get as early as possible. Now let's have a closer look at the abilities. Starting out with Reap, this ability pulls in enemies 5 meters in front of you and deals 110% weapon damage. If you max out this ability with additional points, you can actually get an extra hit that deals 115% weapon damage after the first pull. The second ability is Charge. This allows you to charge 10 meters, dealing 120% weapon damage when you reach the target or press left mouse button. However, as you can see, the final attack here has a bit of an upswing to it, which can make it very hard to confirm depending on what angle the enemy is towards you, and I would highly recommend getting the max perk of this ability being Unpredictable Strike, which turns this last strike into a higher damaging one that also is a wider swing and much easier to confirm. The third ability here is Execute, a relatively slow attack that deals 200% weapon damage and 300% against targets under 50% health. When you level it, you can even turn it into a crit against low health targets. Obviously a very strong ability, but also very slow. On the Marauder side, the first ability is Maelstrom, a spin attack that deals 110% weapon damage and is meant to pull enemies closer to you. You can even extend the range on that. Big problem with this ability is that the range, even when upgraded, is very short, and that the ability itself locks you in place. You cannot move forward while using this. That means most enemies can just walk out of the range of this ability. This is in a very stark contrast to Reap that we talked about, which is a very reliable. As such, in my opinion, Maelstrom is almost purely a PvE ability. The next ability is Whirlwind, a spinning attack that deals 50% weapon damage 4 times. Different from Maelstrom, you can move while using this, and you can also increase the hits to up to 7. This is primarily a decent mob farming ability. Maybe it can have uses in scenarios like war as well, but the third ability is usually highly preferred over it, and that is a Gravity Well. In Gravity Well, you throw your axe forward and create a vortex which pulls enemies to its center for 3 seconds. After these 3 seconds end, it explodes and deals 125% weapon damage. While caught in Gravity Well, it can be very hard for enemies to escape unless they have any movement abilities. This is one of the most favored melee abilities in war to keep people off a point. The strength of the Great Axe primarily lies in its ability to keep enemies close in a variety of different ways. The Great Axe is extremely good at punishing mistakes by keeping enemies locked down for a long time. It's also fantastic for AoE farming, of course. The weak point of the Great Axe are enemies that don't let you get close in the first place. For example, the Ice Gauntlet has quite a few ways to keep the Great Axe at a distance, with an ice wall as well that you can't dash through, and that can really hinder the Great Axe's full potential. When it comes to weapons to pair it with, you want to look at strength weapons. The hatchet works, the warhammer works, the sword and shield also works decently, and technically the spear can also work even though it's not ideal. Also, like with any other weapon, going for a life staff and using an ember gem has been pretty strong in the past, at least. We'll see if nerfs may change that. Now here's a 20 weapon mastery build that would work based on the current available information. Keep in mind that with the open beta there may be changes to some weapon perks that could influence the outcome here. If there's anything that's changed that you're unsure about, feel free to hop over to my Twitch TV/DukeSloth, where I'll be live streaming the beta and I can answer any questions regarding these skill trees for you. Alright, now for the order of spending your points. We're gonna begin with Reap or Pull and get a point in Charge afterwards. This will give us a lot of extra mobility and a little bit of extra damage. Now, the next point is going into Execute. We're gonna get Execute for now, because we want to get Gravity Well eventually, but we want to get Bloodlust first. And in order to get Bloodlust, we cannot go all the way down to Gravity Well in the beginning. So we're gonna do that first and then switch over later. At this point, you have quite a few different options in terms of damage output. The one that I would recommend here primarily is Greed, which gives you extra damage on your light attacks, which is just really nice to have. And then Keen Edge, which increases your critical damage, so you're just going to be hitting a lot harder between those two, especially if you get some crits. Another one that is also nice is Critical Condition. This is something you can look at later, but at this point I think the most important choice is to go Friendly Momentum and then go into Unpredictable Strike, so you get a lot of extra early damage with that charge, which is really strong. Now, if you're looking for early PvP, then you should also consider getting Reap range relatively early, because that range makes a massive difference in my opinion. If not, then that's not as important. And now, again, you are a bit flexible in terms of what exactly you want to get here. I think, for example, that Death Embrace is an interesting option. Or you could just go further down here and say, okay, I want to have some healing. And after we get some healing, we can then go into Fatal Attraction to get an extra hit on your Reap afterwards. And then you get Bloodlust. So now we have all the perks that we want. Now we need to spend some more points in the Reaper tree before we can switch over. So I'm going to put a point into Death Embrace here, so we have more damage against targets below 50% health. And then you can, for example, go into critical gains if you want to get a little bit of healing when you crit, or you could go into frustration, which gives you extra damage when enemies block. You can also go into feed. I think it's not my preferred choice, or you could go into critical condition, which gives you a higher crit chance against targets with low health. Now, at this point, you should have enough points to respec and go all the way down to Gravity Well. So you take your point out of the execute. You can take away, obviously, points in whichever you want, and you spend them over here on this side. You go into Heavy Pull, which pulls enemies closer to you. You go into Enduring Strikes, which is maybe not that great if they fix the bug that's connected to it, but it should still be decent because you still get damage reduction while using heavy attacks. So in PvP it might not matter that much anymore, but especially in PvE it will. And it'll allow you to counter certain things with grit as well. And then you go into Gravity Well, and now you have the ability that you really want, which is a big AoE CC that hits enemies quite well. And if you put another point here in Crowded Well, you also get 10% extra damage. Not the most, not the biggest change here, but a little bonus. I also like the point here in Gravity, which increases the duration of your pulls, basically, or the enemy being held still after a pull. I haven't exactly tested how it works for everything, but generally it feels better to have them locked down with that. Then you can, for example, get a point into Revenge if you want to as well. Take something out here if you want to get a little bit of a bonus for blocking. But again, you're relatively flexible in how you spend your points. At this point, I showed a slightly different suggestion at the start. The overall idea stays the same. You want to definitely have Reap, you want to have Charge, and you want to have Gravity Well, unless that's massively nerfed. And then you want to have some perks around it, which are, in my opinion, not all the best. It's just a bit of a lackluster potential in terms of perks against a single target at least. There are a lot of perks that benefit you if you hit multiple targets, like this one, for example, or I think this one as well, when you have multiple enemies around you. So if that's your thing, you can definitely spec into those. But for single target damage or for farming one mob as well, those don't really do much for you. This should give you a good idea of how to build in the open beta. If you want to know more about builds for other weapons, or you want to know more about in-depth builds in the future, then feel free to click the sub button and maybe the bell. I will be doing both, more melee guides before the beta and then in-depth weapon guides after the beta. Again, if you have any questions regarding spec changes with beta changes,
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Invin and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a video on everything that's actually changed in New World since the closed beta and any of the preview tests if any of you guys have played them. And I've gone over the patch notes yesterday, so that's going to be kind of like the intricacies of the values. Today I'm going to be going over the practical things that have changed in New World so that when you jump into it either in open beta or in the full release, you're not going to get taken by surprise by these things. So first thing starting off here, as you will see when we go into the game menu section, there is an unstuck and there is a recall to in, but there is no section here for actually respawning, which means that the camp feature has actually changed. You can't respawn at the camps or at the settlements when you finish the quest and just do that. You would actually have to die a natural way, either by fighting mobs and losing them or whatever, if you do want to respawn. Now another thing that's changed along the same area as this is actually the camp feature, so when you put down a camp, you can only respawn within 500 meters of that camp, which means that if you put it down in the middle of 3 places like this, right here in between Monarch's Bluff, Windswood and Everfall, you wouldn't be able to respawn at that camp if you're more than 500 meters away in any direction, meaning that this strategy for where you could just respawn all the time is now very different. Now, like I said there, what you can do is obviously fight mobs and purposefully loot. This again does reduce your durability when you die, as it would have done doing the respawn method, and it's essentially the same thing just without a button. But bear it in mind, as I say there, the camp distance has changed and it will just take you to the nearest settlement now if there's no camp in reach, so it could take you a little bit longer, so plan that out before you go ahead and do it. Now there is also some changes that have been made to the weapons, like I talked about in the patch notes. There's been some updates and changes to some of the weapon values, stats. Now I have been testing out pretty much all of these weapons, to be honest, already. I've leveled a lot of them up through doing the elite zones, and I've got a decent amount of skills on these, so I can at least try out all of the active skills. I can tell you that all of the weapons now feel a lot more balanced. Each of them feels very, very viable. And I think that Amazon has done a good job of making sure that we are now able to use very different weapons and still be very effective in PvP and PvE, which is really, really nice. One thing I would say that I would like them to look at a little bit further is the ability that people have to just continuously run away during PvP if they're in light armor, getting those roll cancels away. Obviously, that's part of the skill of the game, but there isn't much you can do. Someone's very, very nimble and quick, particularly if you're in that heavy or medium armor. So if you're going to play tank, generally you're going to be in at least medium armor, if not heavy. You're never really going to catch up. So obviously the point is to play in a party, have different roles and stuff. So that is one thing that can maybe further. Other than that, I think generally the changes have been really good. I enjoy the fact that we don't have the respawn method any longer. They've also reduced the amount of XP that it takes to level up from level 0 to 20, and massively changed the XP it takes from 20 to 30 by a good amount down, meaning it's a lot quicker to level up for those first 30 levels. This is something I actually really like because it gives you a chance to progress to the main story, get engrossed, get immersed into the world of Eternum, whilst also giving you the chance to level up some good professions, level up different crafting skills, because as you're going along you're feeling a good sense of progression of doing pretty much everything in early game, including crafting and gathering, which I really do like that addition. I think it works really, really well. Now, obviously, tuning orbs are still bind on pickup, so as soon as you craft these, you are not able to trade them. But some of the weapons are now bind on equip, so that means you can trade some of those ones. As far as legendary weapons, I'm not sure. Haven't got to that point yet or seen anybody on the server that has, so we're going to work on that if we can. If not, I'm going to assume that it's still going to be BOP because obviously some of those are really powerful weapons. But some of the lower tier ones, you can craft those and sell them as normal, which is really good. Now, another thing that you will see that's changed here, if I press tab, you guys can see the category of armor that I'm in this top right section here. And that is the equipped load, and you can see that the light, heavy and medium categories, looking at the bar here, have actually changed thresholds. So to be in the light category, you need to be under 13 weight. To be in the medium category, you need to be under 23 weight, and then anything over 23 weight is actually in the heavy category now, and that's down from under 30 for medium and then under 15 for light. Now that stops you putting on multiple pieces of the bracket above's armor, so again puts you into more focus in terms of actually wearing the armor relative to what the buff that you want. As you can see here, I'm wearing a light helmet, a medium chest plate, light gloves, light leg wear and light footwear. Now this is because they did do an update yesterday, given that the chest plates do the most protection out of any armor piece now, because it was a draw between chest plates and helmets. Now it's simply chest plates are the best, and I have figured out, obviously by equipping this right here, you can actually wear a chest plate from the tier above, whichever one you want to be in, and still have the other 4 pieces as the required tier, and that will keep you in that light category or medium category if that's what you're going for. And that's a really good thing because that means this is giving me a lot of protection. You can see here on this item I've got 141.8 armor rating for elemental and 190.5 armor rating for physical. So if I go ahead and look at the light helmet which I've got here, which obviously is a helmet rather than chest plate, so it's going to be lower to start with, but it's the same tier, it's a higher quality, it's a rare quality rather than just uncommon, and it's a higher gear score, but this only does 30 for elemental and 51 for physical. Now again, maybe even double that because a chest plate would maybe be double it, right? It's still only going to be 60 and 100, which is far less than 140 and 190. If you want to compare it pretty much directly to another light piece of the same level, this one here on the auction house, as you can see, a light chest plate here. This one is obviously more designed towards intelligence people because it's plus 12 intelligence. So actually a pretty nice piece if you are a caster. But this one right here is 97.1 on both elemental and physical. And again, going back and comparing that to the one I've got equipped, we've got 141 and 190. So as you can see, putting that chest plate from the higher category really does help. Now you could probably mix and match this out, maybe putting on a helmet and gloves or boots and gloves, something along those lines if you do want to. But simply for the resistance buff and bonus damages that were changed in the patch notes yesterday, I would recommend using your chest plate. And again, just make sure that they've got the required stats that you want. Luckily for me, going from light to medium, keeping in that light category is what I want to be. But obviously that medium category has some strength specs. So as you can see there, that's spec'd into strength, which is good because currently I am using the Warhammer and Hatchet. Been using a lot of the Great Axe as well, and that's been really fun. Now another thing to show you guys here is actually on the weapon masteries. As you can see, I've actually got a lot of these weapons leveled up. I'm trying to get as many as I can leveled up for you guys so that I can show you all which ones are actually good, what each of the abilities do, and now after the changes, which ones seem to be the best. But all of the weapons so far, like I mentioned at the start of the video, seem to be very viable and doing well. So I'm just going to go ahead and test out the rest of these to make sure for you guys. I'll bring you guys a video after the beta on that. but as it's looking right now, most of these are very good weapons still. So in terms of companies, as you guys can see here, Invenation, that's my company. This is our crest we've got. I quite like this. It's kind of like a cool ninja looking thing with some swords in the background. I thought that was quite a cool one. The server we've joined on EU is Harmonia, so if any of you guys are on there, feel free to come and say hello. Basically, it's very Marauder and Syndicate dominated, which is great for us. We're getting a chance to look at PvP. But that being said, there is some company things that I want to cover here in today's video, and things that have changed. Not really much, to be honest. You can still pick any wars that we've got going on, so we currently don't have any active, but if we did, they'd be here. You can still set the siege window anytime between 4 PM CET for me, so that's Central Eastern Time, all the way up to 12 AM, so you really do get a good choice of times where you can make this war happen. Another thing you can do here is look at the treasury, but one thing I would really like to see is the treasury updated so that we could have a ledger of who has donated what. This is a really useful thing that could be implemented into the game, and it would help so much managing a company, and I'm sure everybody that's in a company, is a consul, is an officer, or is even just a member, would really like this included as well, because certain members are donating a lot, others maybe don't have as much money, and that's fine, but we want to be able to see who's donated what, so we can ask people where their money is, maybe, you know, if you're trying to be that way inclined, or indeed you can just reward the players in your company, which is what I intend to do, who have donated the most. So that'll be a really nice feature to see. Also, on the message of the day, if you go into this message and click edit message, as soon as you press something, let's say like M, it brings up the map. So if that could be changed as well, that would be excellent. I would like to see that changed so that we can actually type in the message of the day without getting anything else brought up around it. Obviously, that's just a bug or whatever for now, and hopefully that can be fixed, but that's something that would be really cool to be able to put in the chat, and I like that being in the game, so hopefully we can get that one fixed as well. Now, in terms of crafting and skilling, all of the things that we've seen so far in the New World Open Beta seems to be really good and fun. It's very similar to how it was. Some of the XP rates have changed a little bit, so you can't, for example, spam craft the minor health potions to level up your Arcana. You do actually need to upgrade into the higher tier ones to get that XP, which I think actually is a good change because it makes more sense. And a lot of the crafting recipes and stuff have stayed exactly the same as we saw in closed beta, so generally this is pretty similar, which is nice for any of you guys crafting. It's just some of the XP changes and values as well as the resources required have changed somewhat a little bit as well. So hopefully this video has been helpful to you all. I've tried to break down all of the new things that we've seen functionally and practically in the game. Obviously, there'll be some other stuff than this that I haven't mentioned, so if you have found anything that's changed from the closed beta or the previews in the open beta version of the game, please feel free to leave a comment of it down below to let everybody know what's going on and what has actually changed for definite. If there is anything else that you would like to see me cover in a video as well, let me know down below. I've got a ton of videos coming up over the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you are subscribing, notification bells on so you don't miss out on any of those. If you found today's video useful and informative and helpful, please do leave a like on the video as well, as that really does help me out. If you would like to join the Discord community, the link for that will be in the description and in the comments of this video. We're going to be rotating some members out that have got
to get an idea.
Changed for definite. If there is anything else that you would like to see me cover,
Inside, won't let me in. It's don't stop. I drop, you falter. I just can't win. Joker from the day I fall asleep with your heart round my neck. What if I picked the Joker from the deck?
Muda para o Premium e acede a música sem anúncios. Podes ouvir qualquer lista de reprodução ou rádio sem interrupções. Cria uma coleção de músicas baseada nos teus gostos pessoais, com as estações de rádio. Escolhe ir para a rádio, num artista, álbum, música ou lista e ouve música semelhante sem anúncios no Premium. Toca na faixa para mais informações.
Tissue feeds on blood. Someday I'll find you. The urge is here.
Look no! Emperor Marcus Aurelius becoming a soul. My memory is still foggy, but
I knock on your skin, and I am in. The perfect match, you and me. I adapt, contagious. You will not say welcome. Like a flame that seeks explosives. As gunpowder meets the war, I feast inside you. My host is you. I know what I want, so take the truth. I don't mind if you take the truth. So take the truth. I wanna lose forever and more out. Use me now and I'm vulnerable. It helps me fix it up and run it around. I know what I want, so take the truth. I wanna
Conhece o Premium, a nova forma de ouvir música. No Premium podes ouvir música sem anúncios, nas colunas ou na televisão. É fácil de configurar e podes ligar qualquer dispositivo compatível para ouvires música sem interrupções. Ouve o que quiseres a pedir, quando quiseres, mesmo nos dispositivos móveis. Muda agora para o Premium. Toca na faixa para mais informações.
Don't go.
So young, so how are you to know? No, no. You're a carrier of the light inside of you. Glows green in the pitch black night, night, night. Can't tell anyone is hurting you. So hold it come around. So I got to sit up, up, for my heart to come down, 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 down. So I got to sit up, for my heart to come down, down, down. The ghoulish entities, they come floating through the walls. Ghostly enemies, they come floating through the walls. And the ghoulish entities, they come soldier who acts, but never asks. Why am I flying on my back, with the moon looking down, 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 down? Where's my band? Where's anything? And why's the ceiling gonna black, 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 black? The ghoulish entities, they come flowing through the walls. Ghostly enemies, they come floating through your door. And the ghoulish entities, they come flowing through the walls. From the past, the summer right before you, like the girls of Christmas past. Anything's coming, yes you go. Chasing those so, when they come up, I just saw so. Ghoulish entities, they come flowing through the walls. Ghostly enemies, they come floating through your door. And the ghoulish entities, they come flowing through the wall. From the past, the summer right before you, like the ghosts of Christmas past.
Vive o poder do Premium. Viva a liberdade. Liberdade para ouvir qualquer música a pedido no teu dispositivo. A liberdade dos avanços ilimitados entre músicas, mesmo nos dispositivos móveis. A liberdade de ouvir offline e ouvir música sem anúncios. É este o poder do Premium. Toca na faixa para mais
If this
informações.
woman still exists, you will find her to the north, in Everfall. I think that's where you should stop.
Walking alone, I'm in the red lines, trying to find the right time. Walking alone, I'm in the red light, trying to find the right time. Walking alone, I'm in the red lines, trying to find the right time. Walking alone, I'm on the wrong side, trying to find the right lines. Let me eat all these lies up, let me hide them. Let me eat all these lies up, let me hide them. Walking alone with my eyes shut, on my own, won't be giving up. Came alone with my coffee, time runs when there's no truth. Such a hurricane, trapped in my soul and I can't explain. Such a hurricane, trapped in my soul and I can't explain. Let me eat all these lies up, let me hide them. Let me eat all these lies up, let me hide them. Not confused. There's no truth. Not confused. There's no truth. Such a hurricane, such a hurt and pain, trapped in my soul and I can't explain. Such a hurricane, such a hurt and pain, trapped in my soul and I can't explain.
Remember me, I'm the one that's back from over. Time's gone by and I'm still so far from over.
Till the stars didn't recognize me. So long, I waited so long.
Now you don't see the skies that I do. My sun becomes your blue. For a familiar love, by familiar love.
No surprise, your kind are always speaking. I am quite the flow of Azoth that feeds this fountain.
Definitely not anymore. No, no.
competitivos, principalmente connosco. E queremos conhecer melhor o nosso corpo para ele estar no seu melhor. Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 leve que conhece melhor.
Entra numa dimensão musical feita só para ti. Define as tuas regras com o Premium. Continua a ouvir para te darmos novos mixes baseados no teu gosto, do Daily Mix às descobertas da semana. No Premium podes transferir essas listas de reprodução e ouvir offline. E ouves música sem anúncios. Muda agora para o Premium. Toca na faixa para mais informações.
Well, the fountain is running. Corruption, blocking the flow of Azar through earthly passages. You have done your part. Because corruption's power...
Conhece o Premium, a nova forma de ouvir música. No Premium podes ouvir música sem anúncios, nas colunas ou na televisão. É fácil de configurar e podes ligar qualquer dispositivo compatível para ouvires música sem interrupções. Ouve o que quiseres a pedido, quando quiseres, mesmo nos dispositivos móveis. Muda agora para o Premium. Toca na faixa para mais informações.
Another night, another taste, feeling that I don't wanna waste. You left me yearning for you, babe. Scattered words, nothing to say. 'Cause I just want you to stay.
Oh, there's the ingredients I need. One, listen when I say this, a second up.
But I'll take
So I had ordered
it
shipments of
away.
corn and strawberries to come in.
Hold
They
me
got waylaid out by Moe's farm. Get the produce from the farm and some fish. The fish that's 4 leg. Then
Nobody should ever need to know it's alright. Hold me in your arms when you hold me all night. Take you where I wanted it to go all night, all night, all night.
There now. That will afford you some protection, whether or not your request for your sincerity be evident. That may be impossible, but be merciless. Destroy as many as you can. Look for any clues as to where else they plan to spread their pestilence. You may well have need of the tincture, don't you?
I let you hide away. Can feel your breath in my hands. It seems to be it, and I'm alone and fake, and I'm alone and fake. If these words just motivate you, a word without sense, if I'm without you, it's always a story told to life. So get your core and drive. Let your dream of your life. You never took paradise. After all, pretends for there's no return to life. So get the core and drive. Waiting for all me.
From Your request has been granted, human. You should realize that this required a sacrifice, and it's not a gift that would be given freely. Still, fine representative for
It is as I'm not surprised. The angry earth for the next part zero. A not insignificant quantity either. Oh my gosh. It must be paused at the end. It's an ancient forge. I even remember the glorious dusk and old Forge Master Ezra. No idea what state it's in now.